Welcome to Points of View, a discussion of issues regarding persons with disabilities, moderated by Doug Uziak.
Today's panelists are Tony Anderson, a trustee with the Great Lakes Water Sport Institute; Christine Hoff, facilitator of Adaptive Recreation and Sports, Town of Hamburg; and Adam Page, USA National Sled Hockey player.
Welcome. Today, we're going to focus our attention on recreational activity in sports, specifically for people with disability, involving people with disabilities, on the most basic way as far as getting involved with sports in a recreational manner to competitive sports. And the first question I would like to throw out there is, why do we even include and consider people with disabilities in recreational or competitive sports in any way? What is it in us that we feel that we can open this type of activity for people with disabilities?
Well, for me in sled hockey, me being disabled, I know it gives me an opportunity to be with people just like myself and to, you know, have that sense of socialization and be a part of that community where, you know, you have the same issues that you can talk to each other with and, you know, kind of relate to the same things. And also by being competitive and playing sports and doing what any kid loves to do.
And in working with mostly children, which is what we do have some adults, but with working with mostly children, we're building social skills with them. They're feeling included, just like you said. They're meeting people that are just like them. We offer 2 autistic programs, and so building socialization and communication, as well as when we started specifically the autism program, we had all of our children were in adaptive gym in school, and by the time that they graduated, the one group that has become adults now, they all graduated and they were in a regular ed gym class. So we helped them build their motor skills. We gave them some confidence because I think they needed to be able to participate in gym activities that were in a safe environment, that they felt secure to make mistakes and to not feel like they could. I think sometimes when they had to participate in gym with the all-around athlete, they were always the last one picked, and so their skills weren't being built because I think a lot of times they just plain out refused to go, or they had gross motor problems, and there was no sense of competition. Why bother? And these children ended up being able to participate in a regular ed gym class by the time they graduated. To me, that was great for them and gave them, a sense of belonging to their typical school environment in their community.
So, Tony, is this activity of setting up various recreational activities for people with disabilities in competitive sports, is this not just a feel-good activity to help the person with the disability to feel good and the person who's working with the person with disability to feel good?
Well, for starters, let's not call it disability. Let's call it varying levels of ability. And the object with what we do is we provide recreation for varying levels of ability. We have someone who helps sail, that he runs the tiller on the sailboat. He's been taking other people out for 10 years now. He has MS. He's had MS for over 20 years. He's totally integrated into being a sailor. We have water ski programs, we have fishing programs, and the idea is improving quality of life. Everybody talks about what do we do to cure this, or what do we do to march for a cure of that. When we started this 10 years ago, the idea was these people deserve a good quality of life. And what we do, and scuba's included, we've taken people who are deaf, amputees, blind, paraplegics, quadriplegics, and I get personally as much pleasure out of taking someone with a different ability and letting them see what I enjoy or feel what I enjoy.
But that's exactly where I'm coming from, is that, you know, are we creating these activities in a non-competitive manner for a reason? Or, you know, the sense of winning or the sense of achieving, you know, when you talk to an athlete out there or whatever, and you look at the NFL, the NBA, or the Olympics or whatever, it's, I want to win. I mean, there are organizations of people with disabilities that this supposedly winning isn't the important piece. And are we forgetting and are we amiss in not instilling the sense of wanting to achieve for people with disabilities, Adam?
For me, you know, locally we do have a program that's recreational. So it's for anybody that, you know, has a disability, and we even have people without disabilities that can play alongside their siblings that are disabled. And that's on the local level. For anybody that just wants to go out and have fun on the weekends. And then there's also a national level, which I've been a part of for
Okay, I need to stop you right there. We'll get back, and right after this break, we'll come back and we'll hear what Adam's got to say about the national level activity in sled hockey. See you right after these messages.
Today, people with disabilities are participating fully in the social and economic life of New York State. In large measure, this is true because of the work of an independent living center in your community. The New York State Independent Living Council is dedicated to promoting the independent living philosophy and to facilitating access to independent living services. For more information on the council or about your nearest independent living center, call toll-free 1-888-469-7452.
Are you looking for new ideas to help you sell? Need a presentation that must compel? Have a message you wish to dispel? Or an important story you need to tell? Are you exploring new ways to communicate, to motivate, to educate, or demonstrate? Or are you searching for creative concepts to help you entertain, promote your brand name, to effectively train, or launch a new web domain name? Then focus on Creative Concept Studios and see the possibilities.
Welcome back. Adam, before the break, was telling us about the sled hockey activity, recreational versus or including the competition. So Adam, why don't you take it from there as you're going into it?
And, you know, on the competitive side for sled hockey, we have a junior national team, which is like the feeder program to the national team. And then we have our men's national team, which I've been a part of for 7 years now. I've been fortunate enough to go to 2 Paralympics and have 2 gold medals, from Vancouver in 2010 and Sochi recently in 2014, just a few months ago.
But wasn't there a drive for you to compete and to participate? Didn't you want more than just saying, I want to play hockey in a backyard and have fun with my friends?
Yeah. You know, I mean, I grew up doing all different kinds of adaptive sports, and you know, when I was younger, it was something I did just for fun, just to be out there with, you know, other kids like myself. And then when I got to a point where some of it wasn't competitive enough, and, you know, it was just for fun. And, you know, I loved hockey. I went to my first Sabres game when I was 3 years old, and just something about the game I loved. And we found sled hockey, fortunately, here in Buffalo, and you know, I did that just to start when I was 6, and did that for fun for a little while. And then I realized that there was a higher level you could get at, and that you could play for your country and do all this. And at that point, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Chris, you get involved with recreational sports activities, I believe, in a small town way. Do you open up competitive activities for the people with disabilities that participate?
When they're ready, a lot of our children have gone on to, that's the goal. That should always be the ultimate goal, is to teach skills, to allow people to become healthy and to have resilience to be able to compete. And so many of our children have gone on. That should be the goal. And when they're ready, I can think of one young man right now who is competing at least statewide in bowling, but did not have those emotional and social skills to start off with. And so, those non-invisible disabilities are important to be able to support and create resilience in people in order for them to be competitive. I think competitiveness is human nature, but if you're placed in an environment where you know and there is no chance for you to achieve, then people give up. So I think providing the appropriate level of recreation builds character, creates resilience, and also is socially, enhancing for these people.
Okay. Now, Tony, earlier you alluded to all kinds of water activities, scuba diving, sailing, and everything. Now, a question I have for you is, when individuals come to participate in the various offerings, do you have all the answers as it relates to what type of adaptations or accessibility issues, how to resolve those? Or, how do you overcome a functional limitation or a disability you haven't dealt with yet?
Part of the training and part of what we do is work with individuals of these varying abilities to create compensation if necessary, so they can participate on what I'll call a mainstream basis. If we have, in the Buffalo area, we have sailing, and there's people with varying levels of ability that have, have been quite good at competitive sailing. There's professional fishermen. There's people that are veterans. And if you want to see competition, take a veteran who may be a paraplegic, he may be an amputee. You hand him a spear gun, put him underwater, and say, we've got a contest to see who can spear the biggest fish. That individual is going to be right there. Besides the therapeutic and the inclusivity, these individuals have the same capability of winning as anyone. In fact, in many respects, the people with all their abilities are the people that you should call handicapped.
Adam, now, in building off what Tony's saying regarding the competitive aspect of that, and since you're our amateur Paralympic champion, 2 gold medals, in fact, but I want to pursue that whole competitive edge about the competition, the strive to win, to fight. I mean, you come across as a pretty mild-mannered guy over there. I mean, how did you beat the Russians over the head with your hockey stick?
You're playing for your country when you're out there, and and it's hockey. Except you're sitting in a sled, and you have 2 hockey sticks, but the rules are the same. We're just as competitive as the stand-up ice hockey, and we hit just as hard, and I think it's pretty close to even the same speed. A lot of people don't realize how physical and competitive it really is until you see it in person. We have USA on the front of our jerseys, and that's what we're competing for. So,
So that meant something to you.
Yeah, and having that opportunity to be able to do that is, some people don't get the chance to ever really do that. So
but within yourself, did you really want to win? I mean, would you have settled for 4th place?
No, and obviously, you always want to try to do your best and to, strive to be the best that you can be. In sports or even just in everyday life, it kind of just gives you a platform to be able to do that.
Okay, we're going to take a break here, and then when we get back, we're going to pursue what's in the future for people with disabilities in competition and recreation.
Today, people with disabilities are participating fully in the social and economic life of New York State. In large measure, this is true because of the work of an independent living center in your community. The New York State Independent Living Council is dedicated to promoting the independent living philosophy and to facilitating access to independent living services. For more information on the Council or about your nearest independent living center, call toll-free 1-888-469-7452.
Are you looking for new ideas to help you sell? Need a presentation that must compel? Have a message you wish to dispel? Or an important story you need to tell? Are you exploring new ways to communicate, to motivate, to educate, or demonstrate? Or are you searching for creative concepts to help you entertain, promote your brand name, to effectively train, or launch a new web domain name? Then focus on Creative Concept Studios and see the possibilities.
Welcome back. We're talking about persons with disabilities participating in competitive sports and recreational programs. And right now I want to look towards the future. You know, what's in it for people with disabilities? Are we going to see the time when people with disabilities can cross over and actually get involved in competitive and recreational activities on an equal basis for people with disabilities, Chris?
Absolutely, I think so. I think technology is helping with that, but I also think that as technology helps and we find bigger and better accommodations, you know, people are going to be able to compete. And we know more, so we can accommodate people better. With good science comes better activity levels for all people with disabilities.
So what do you think on the water side there, Tony?
I think in some respects, we're already there. People sail competitively on an even playing field with people that have essentially all their abilities. We have people that are doing the water skiing. We have people that are professional fishermen who have issues. In diving, there's accommodation. The technology's there, the training is there, and it's just a matter of fitting the training and the education not only to the individual participant, but to those who might be working with them to be able to participate on a mainstream level. And that's the object of a lot of these things, is to be able to take people with any ability, or within reason any ability, and allow them to participate on a mainstream basis.
Now, Adam, I want you to take the same type of question. I want you to think about this. Now, as Tony and Chris highlighted, you know, we are seeing people with disabilities getting involved in other activities. Chris talked about bowling. We all know about the guy who wanted to run in the Olympics and the golfer several years ago. But what's going to be the reaction when the guy without the disability wants to play your sport?
I mean, it's already happening on the recreational level. Like I said earlier, with like disabled siblings that have an able-bodied sibling with them, they're already competing alongside each other and playing the same sport. You know, and on the competitive side with the national level, there's, you know, parameters where you have to have a physical disability to compete in the Paralympics or, you know, on the national level. But even the exposure with that, us having our gold medal game on NBC for the first time in the U.S. ever, you know, there's huge steps being taken by, you know, the U.S. Paralympic Committee and USA Hockey to put all, you know, of this out there, and you know, and being able to compete alongside your able-bodied peers.
So, Chris, in school, you know, in the educational setting, with the sports involved with the schools or the after-hour clubs or stuff like that, do Do you think, or are we seeing the acceptance of the child, a youth with a disability, being involved in a competitive way with these sports and recreational programs?
I think it's beginning, but I think we're going to have to pave a way. When they are able to participate, it's usually because that child has a very strong advocate. Usually their parent, but it could be a caregiver or a school professional. But I think we have a long way to go with that. And I think that's been in the news even today with trying to get accommodations or following an IEP, even in after-school sports, an individual educational plan.
So are we seeing pushback from the schools as far as letting the kids be part of that?
Absolutely. I do think so.
What's their main resistance?
I don't think they want to follow the IEP in an after-school activity.
So Tony, do you think that the professional barrier could be broken by people with disabilities in competitive sports?
The way I've always looked at things is the only barrier that people have is a barrier in their mind. It's like people saying, think outside the box. The only box you create is within your own mind. And if individuals want to do something bad enough, they can find a way to do it. I mean, we have a gold medal sled hockey champion here with us. It was his fortitude and guidance and support from a parent or his family that allowed him to pursue his goal. And that's the important thing, is the will of the individual and the desire of the individual to move forward, whether it's from a participation standpoint, recreational standpoint, or moving on to some kind of a professional standpoint. It's whatever limitation the individual puts on them, on themselves, and as long as they're willing to search, the technology is improving at such a high rate now that the limits are becoming less and less as we move forward.
So, Adam, there have been people with disabilities in the professional leagues, but you usually don't find out about it after effect. Do you think it's time for that professional athlete to, quote, come out of the closet and say, look, I've got this issue I'm dealing with? I said after the fact, after it's all over, because obviously there must be some shame or embarrassment about that.
Yeah, I mean, there shouldn't be any shame or embarrassment to say I have, this problem or this disability. And, like I said, with NBC, carrying a lot of our stories, they did a lot of, like our wounded vets that are on the team. They talked about a lot of their stories actually on air before the game and throughout the Paralympics. There's 50 hours of coverage. So, I mean, a lot of people got a taste of what, is out there with disabilities and kind of put us out there with everybody else.
Okay, thank you very much. Like anything, especially in competition, recreation, for people with disabilities, you got to go out there, you got to try, you got to compete, and you have a right to do that. You have a right to win, you have a right to fail. We'll catch you on our next show. Have a good day.
Points of View is presented by the New York State Independent Living Council, Incorporated, in cooperation with the Catskills Center for Independence, Fingerlakes Independence Center, Independent Living of Niagara County, and Western New York Independent Living. For the location of the Independent Living Center in your area, call toll-free 1-888-469-7452.